Shoes is a little bit harder. I know it's one of the biggest questions, what kind of shoes, should my kid have? I'm going to show you a few of the ones that worked out really good and a few of the ones that worked out just awful. This is currently my favorite AFO shoe. It's my favorite for a few reasons. It's higher. My daughter had a tendency to slide out of her shoe, so she could kind of catch the back of it and pull her foot out when we were using, for example, something that was a little shorter. So I tend for my daughter to like the high tops. When we have the high tops, we're not losing shoes. They're staying on pretty good. What I really like about these ones is a few things. They're quite wide. Usually kids who have AFOs need a wider shoe. The thing I really like about them is that they have both the lace and the zipper. The lace allows you to have them tied up the perfect tightness, but the zipper allows you to just easily get them on and off. So you can kind of set the laces where they need to be, and then you can just zip them on and off, and it's super fast. My daughter's favorite, and you'll see why, are these ones. So my daughter is 5, and well, she likes them because they're pretty. The other thing is when they have been plugged in, yes, these plug in, the bottoms of them do what these ones do. So you can actually change the color, or wait for it. You can have a light show, or you can have the exciting go through the different colors. It's very thrilling. So that's why these are my daughter's favorite, but they're actually pretty good. So they don't have the zipper on the side, which I miss. But they do have a nice wide base, so we can fit the AFOs in really good, and the laces that go all the way up and the high top allow a nice snug fit. The one thing that is really good about these shoes in combination with these shoes, I don't know if you can tell, but they have the same thicknesses of sole. So this is something that I discovered the hard way. So before we had these ones, we had these ones. So again, I already told you they started to slip off because they didn't have the height. What was good about these ones is these are Champions. They were bought at Payless. They actually come in a wide shoe. So it's a 10W, so these ones are actually made wider than a standard shoe. So they actually fit the AFOs pretty good. This is another shoe that I found also at Payless. Same thing, it's also a Champion. I thought great. It fit perfect with the AFO on when I tried it in the store. The big difference with these is that, maybe I'll turn them around so you can see better. They have a very significant difference in the thickness of the sole. That caused problems because my daughter has a standing frame and a walker. And when we moved from this shoe to this shoe, it required a modification in the height of both the standing frame and the walker. So it's not like she could wear this shoe one day and then this shoe the next, because that was just messing her up. The other problem that we have, if I turn these to the side, is you can see the bottom sticks out. So in my daughter's standing frame, there's kind of a cup that the shoe goes back into. If you look at these ones, you know how far it goes back. So her heel was this far back, but in this one, it was pushing her heel significantly farther forward. Again, needed to modify the standing frame every time she got into it in this shoe versus this shoe. So learned my lesson. So now I make sure that if we have multiple shoes that we're wearing sort of at the same time, like these ones, that they have the same base. This is the third pair of shoes that we have going at the same time, and just like the other ones, they're all the same base. Now, these ones that we use most often that I love, we bought at Walmart. So again, I don't pay tons of money for shoes. They do have very snazzy ones that you can get on the internet, and the back actually flips out, so you can just slide them on, and then there's two straps that sort of pull them up. If you're having really hard time finding shoes, they're an option. They're generally more expensive than either the Walmart version or the Payless version. So it's up to you. Lots of people have a lot of luck with skate shoes, Skechers, or I know lots of people swear by Nikes because they come in a wider shoe. The biggest thing is to look for that bit wider shoe. The other thing to kind of keep in the back of your mind is it's always important to have at least one pair of shoes that your child can wear without their AFOs. I made this mistake as well. When my daughter had these AFOs back in the day, we actually lost a couple of these snaps, came off, and the whole AFO had to go back to get repaired. So we were actually without AFOs for a week. And the first thing I realized was the only shoes that we had were the size to go over top of her AFOs. And then when I tried to put them on her feet, they would just fall off because they were way too big for her foot without the AFO. So now I always make sure I have a smaller, narrower shoe. Again, I still like the high top, especially when my daughter isn't wearing an AFO. It gives her extra support. But these are the shoes that we have as the backups in case something happens to her AFOs. The other thing that has happened to us in the past is red marks or blisters, and we had to stop wearing our AFOs to let the skin heal. Again, you need something to put on their feet. So always have a backup. Sometimes you can get away with, so for example, we used to use this shoe for her AFOs. Some people can get away with then when you move up to the next size AFO, these will still fit without the AFOs on. Our problem is, again, she still kind of does that heel thing to slip her shoes off. And so with these being wider, she can still get them off. So sadly, we're out of luck there. So we've always had to have sort of a backup shoe that's specifically thinner, narrower, and with a little more support that she could wear when she didn't have her AFOs on. One more thing to show you. Some kids can get away with wearing AFOs without socks. Not every kid can. Sometimes it just causes way too many problems. They get blisters, those kinds of things. But for the kids who can pull it off, sometimes people look at a sandal. So this is a sandal that we managed to pull off with last year with our other AFOs. So it still had a good toe that the AFO could kind of wedge into. It had a wide enough strap that we could get it around the AFO. But it still was kind of breathable, so it gave her sort of, something to breathe in the summertime. The one big thing that I have learned the hard way is that I never buy a pair of shoes unless I have my child, the AFOs that she's going to be wearing with the shoes, and her foot in the AFO. There's been a few times where I've gone to the store and I found a shoe that looked like for sure it would work. I was sure it would be perfect. It looked wide, it looked supportive, it looked like the right thickness of heel, it looked perfect. And I got home and I tried to put it on, my daughter with her AFO on, and it didn't work. Lots of parents are posting, like, should I be going out and buying shoes before my child gets AFOs? My advice would be, just from my experience, don't try it. You might have better luck than me, but I have certainly not had much luck that way. I always have a better time finding shoes when I have my kid, I have the AFOs, we're actually putting them on in the store and seeing if they work. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message on our Facebook page. And if you want to find out more information about us, this is where you can find us. Thanks.